So yeah, that should be pretty much it.
Here we are.
Yes, we are.
Well, for those of you that are watching a recorded version of this someday, welcome to Ops Oops Origami.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to sit and watch us talk to each other about randomness until maybe somebody shows up.
Yeah, currently it's 0, which is not surprising. So, you know, there's 4 people subscribed to the channel. I think 2 of them are us.
We're so good. We're so good.
I believe I know who the other 2 are. Well, I think one's Ben and one's Jesse. So.
Okay. I mean, hey, 2 is better than nothing.
It is. Well, I should probably spam everybody and hey, come laugh at us.
This is the overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
It is orange liqueur, orange vodka, and orange juice. So you too can make this at home.
Maybe my lovely wife could hop on the stream and see if we actually have some audio.
I'm on your stream.
You are?
There we go. Apparently we're working.
Oh, okay.
This is not the first time I've worked for free. So
yeah. Try sending in the chat. Oh yeah. Good to hear. Good to hear. It's weird that my counter isn't working. Oh, and we have a 5th subscription.
Oh.
That's disappointing. The counter doesn't work.
It's good stuff.
Oh.
We will never know if anybody's watching this unless they comment. So if you're watching, comment.
Why doesn't it say that I'm watching?
The watch counter is sitting at 0.
And it does say you have 5 likes.
All right.
Let's see if my lovely wife can get on a comment or something.
So this is good.
So yeah, dead air. Welcome to Dead Air. We're super practiced at this.
If you are watching, let us know how the audio is. This is a different mic than the technical test from earlier this week. So we're working on it, shuffling stuff around.
Yeah. I think we'll save seagulls. We'll only have somebody around, or for 20, 30 minutes in when we're sitting here talking to ourselves.
Yeah. At least know some people that'll appreciate the seagull conversation. The people I ripped the term off from.
Good stuff. Hey, what is it? Hacks borrow, geniuses steal.
Yes.
That's, yeah, I looked into the second Amazon December outage.
Oh, I meant to do that, but
it wasn't as exciting as the first Amazon December outage. They claimed internet connectivity.
Hello, Wendy.
Wendy, my beautiful wife. So hi. Yeah, they internet connectivity to their US West 1 and 2 data centers, which is not as awesome as the effectively network control plane, which took down US East 1.
Yeah, that kind of blows my mind that they would have internet connectivity issues.
I'm saying you'd think they'd have figured out how to make sure maybe like redundant connections.
I'm sure they do. They probably screwed up peering BGP.
DNS.
That's the only way. Or DNS. Wasn't that one of their previous issues? I mean, or was that Facebook?
Facebook. It's always DNS, right?
No. It's the simplest thing. But everybody screws up.
I found a cool site that actually is just a list of postmortems.
Oh.
So we'll post that in comments at some point. But yeah, it literally is just a long list of brief synopsis of postmortems. It's a long page.
Yeah.
It's not, as best I can tell, super current either. So you can see all the fabulousness that is being a big cloud provider and what it is to like take your stuff down or have your stuff taken down. I suppose I can't blame you entirely if lightning takes out your data center.
Well,
not entirely.
Not entirely, but you're not entirely not at fault either.
Right. Like at some point, you do have the technology. Literally, you have the technology to protect your data center from just about everything. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I mean, when the hurricane hit New Orleans, there was one data center that I was watching at the time, and they were up pretty much the entire time. And yeah, because they were posted. I can't even remember. I think I found them through Slashdot back at the back of the day, but they had a blog going or something, and yeah, it was. They were basically a couple of the staff were stuck there, so they kept everything running. And it was, hey, can somebody bring some diesel? Hey, can somebody bring some food? Hey, can somebody bring some 9mm?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it got a little rough.
times. I mean, not to get too much into Hurricane Katrina and New Orleans, but like, there's a lot of people that stuck it out for really no more purpose than I'm stuck here anyway. And they just kept doing their job, so good for them.
Yeah. I was in the area. I'd host with them.
Yep.
Why not?
I mean, my favorite Katrina story is the one where the Army Corps was saying that it was going to take them like some ridiculous thing, like 3 months to pump the water out, and they got power back to the municipal pumps, and 9 big municipal pumps drained the city in like 2 days.
Yeah, that's so understand. I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're meant to run 24/7,
right,
and have a significant overhead failure,
right,
and still be able to keep it dry.
Yeah, but pretty impressive. So,
yeah. Do magic tricks. Snarks, Wisconsin. I'm not even sure who that is.
Do magic tricks.
I can guess at who that is.
I can try to make my hand disappear, but oh wait, ready? It's like I chopped off my hand.
That's a horrible trick.
Oh, hold on, wait for it. This one. Oh, that's even worse. No, I'm bad at magic tricks. There's a reason I'm not a stage performer in magic.
No.
With a C or with a CK at the end. To be clear, I don't do either kind of magic.
I like your trick.
Excellent. Yeah. What else? What about Log4j?
Well, still an ongoing situation.
Sure.
That new attack vector is interesting. Drive-by download, drive-by exploit on a browser.
Yeah.
Just has to be somebody that eventually has access to that server.
That
and I knew that was going to happen. It just happened a little bit quicker than I was expecting.
I mean, that's significant, right? Like you've got ridiculously short-term contact, and it can take a bit to,
and the user sees nothing happening, so they don't even know.
Right. I mean, it can take a bit to dig out a malware infection, particularly something new. Despite what your malware vendor wants you to think.
Some are better than others.
Indeed. But it only takes one unmitigated system in the hands of somebody with some kind of access.
Well, and that's why also don't just scan inbound traffic. Scan traffic anywhere a user, well, preferably scan all the traffic.
Sure.
But at least anywhere a user could possibly be, towards servers, especially any DMZ servers, especially anything sensitive.
Well, and if you have the time and the resources, you can even do setup that will let you, even if you can't scan traffic, you can track behavior. Like, hey, should this user be getting to that server through this vector, right? Like, why is the super admin user browsing the site from a system they never used to browse the site, right? I mean, there's also a concept of credential separation, right? Like, make sure your the user accounts and systems you have that have the keys to the kingdom are well protected, right? Like, make sure it's not your login credentials.
Well, and everybody should have the least access necessary anyway. Some random user shouldn't be able to hit whatever service is running Java and Log4j. Hey, Catherine, is the audio off from the video, or is the video bad?
And we'll wait for that yourself. Yeah, there's great technology solutions for this stuff, or well, at least there are adequate technology solutions.
Yeah.
But there's just basic protocol, like, policy and process stuff that you can do, if not to like completely mitigate, at least limit your exposure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we've already had two
So I
packages.
can't read other people's chats. It's too fuzzy.
Ah, interesting.
I sent you a screenshot of what I was referring to.
Sure, it's not just your phone.
My Pixel 6.
Well, I mean,
She was telling me what it looks like.
yeah, you're not getting full resolution for some reason. Check it on your computer, see if there's any difference. Because that's plenty big, and it should be 1080p.
What do I know? I'm not a network person.
So one of the folks watching, how many? Can you guys see how many people are viewing the live? Because we can't.
It's fine on the computer.
Okay, so it's fine on the computer. Doesn't show a counter.
No. But you do have 6 subscribers.
Oh.
Thanks, extra subscriber.
We love you most of all.
I mean, I'm not saying, I don't think Brian's saying that he doesn't love our previous 5 subscribers. It's just that we don't love you as much as the one that we just got. So.
Love each one more than the one that came before it.
That's right.
There's got to be a setting on like the back end of YouTube where you can be able to see that stuff. I would think.
Yeah.
Well, some of this is probably the platform.
Yeah.
Not feeding through. Oh, hey, we have 1 viewer.
Yeah, and it was showing 2 previously.
I'm watching now.
That one is probably Katie.
Ah.
Doesn't count on my phone.
Yeah, that's weird. Well, I mean, that's better than 0.
Hey, I mean, we can totally boost our viewership by watching on our own phone.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. It might be consolidating sources coming from the same IP.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, that would almost kind of make sense.
Yeah, put you on the big screen upstairs.
No.
All right, let's check our stats.
Yeah, we had 2.
We had 2. Hey,
Yeah, I wonder if mobile is counting weird. This is all new to us, so
sweet.
Still working out technicals and what the format's going to look like and how sloshed we're going to get.
Indeed.
Wendy, I hope you didn't hear that.
I mean, we're eventually going to have to decide who gets to run for drinks. Otherwise, we're going to
Need to hire someone.
we're gonna need to hire somebody.
Not taking applications.
I mean, we might pay you in drinks.
Yeah.
But if you spent enough time with Brian and I, you will know that those will be strong and they'll probably be tasty.
Mm.
They'll be tasty. They'll be tasty.
Yeah. There's some. You come up with some weird shit sometimes.
I do. I mean, the thing I made, it tastes like
that was. I knew it was just gonna be citrusy, and
Yeah,
that's exactly what it was. It's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, it's a topped up screwdriver. That's what it is.
Almost like a 007.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the other one was.
Anyway, so Amazon.
Yes.
What do they do different? Right, like it's their network control plane. They had, or well,
They just
whatever they're
severely
calling it.
oversubscribed it.
Right. And like we all have stuff lurking in our systems that is just waiting to bite us. You know, I don't want to beat up on Amazon, but like they are the soup du jour. So like, let's beat up on Amazon.
Oh, and they've made a couple of recent mistakes.
Sure.
I mean, normally it's Azure that goes face down the soup at least once a quarter. They have a regional outage.
I mean, I can't say I've never been there.
No.
Yeah, like they're cloud providers, right? Like they've got a lot of customers. They're trying to kick stuff out and get things working, provide new features, what have you. I mean, I'll tell you that Azure's got some. They've been doing some weird stuff in their ARM world, as best I can tell.
Unnecessary.
Like the last like 4 or 5 months. I mean, the conspiracy theory in my head is that as they're marching out Bicep, they keep messing with things on the back end. I am not an Azure.
Have you tried any ARM instances yet? Or you're talking ARM like ARM template?
ARM template,
not
yes.
ARM platform. Okay, because as AWS you can run instances on ARM now.
Okay.
So that's what I heard.
let's de-acronymize. Like Microsoft does typically, they've decided to take a perfectly good acronym and turn it into something else. So in the Azure world, ARM is short for Azure Resource Manager. It is, for the past probably 3 years, it's their preferred method to do management and deployment of their basically all the resources in Azure. Like most things in Microsoft, they claimed lots of things about how the entire platform was going to be supported, and that has not. Well, some things are better than others.
Does it still take 45 minutes to make a trivial change to a VPN gateway? With no feedback whatsoever?
I mean,
you hit enter and walk away, go get lunch?
I mean, the famous one is their Azure, the API management gateway. That's the one where I think the original text was, this change will take up to 15 minutes or 45.
Those are 2 different numbers.
They are. So if you didn't get feedback by the 15-minute mark,
you knew it was going to take 45.
You knew it was going to take 45, and it always came back like pretty much right at 45.
At 16 minutes, a email automatically gets sent to an intern that has to run down and hit the magic button.
Right. No, the one that was famously awful was the initial batch of gateway WAF. I forget what that product is. But that one was,
which iteration, which name?
yeah, it was awful. Like, the best I ever saw it perform was about 7 minutes, but sometimes it would take up to 30 or 40 minutes to complete a relatively trivial change. I mean, I don't know what kind of hamsters on wheels they have running in the background, so perhaps it takes a little while to get the hamster moved from one cage to another. Who knows?
It's Azure, you never know. I only really had to deal with the networking infrastructure kind of stuff.
Right.
So I just remember the really weird things. Like, to go back to the VPN gateway, like half of the steps you could only do from the web interface, half of them you could only do from PowerShell. So you had to bounce back and forth to do the entire deployment. Hopefully they've streamlined that a little bit, because that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
What I will say is more is supported in each interface, but I'm pretty sure it's not 100% yet. I'll get a chance to
make one authoritative, preferably the CLI.
Right.
Make the web interface just a pretty way to input text.
Right. Or just make sure that your web is always backed by CLI. Right.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Make that
Pitch for Google Cloud.
Yeah. That's the one thing I like about Google Cloud is, even if you do it from the web interface, it tells you exactly what it's doing.
Right.
Like, you can copy paste that, and it'll usually run.
And
well,
I mean, not their idea, probably not their idea, right? Like Microsoft did that with, one of the previous versions, Exchange, super popular feature, right? Like, hey, figure out what's going on in the back end. And, you know, like a lot of good ideas, it went by the wayside, but Google apparently has picked it up and is running with it, so good for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I actually will likely get to experience reprovisioning VPN gateways soon, because we're contemplating some work around those soon at my day job. The thing that makes it possible for me to do this and brings to all of our fans here.
Basically gives you all kinds of things to complain about.
Right, right. But without being too specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many things have you had to patch for Log4j? I've only had to patch one.
I only have to deal with the firewalls these days. So as long as I keep signatures up to date, which I've been basically watching for the alerts for email, say a new content update, I'll go through the manual just to make sure it gets there as quickly as possible. The nice thing is Palo Alto had signatures out before the CD was even announced. So
Yeah.
like the night before. So yeah, we were, for the Palo customers, it was great. Other vendors, there's a little more manual labor involved.
One of our vendors, Signal Science, Fastly, had their stuff out before the CD was fully out yet too. So like they had recommendations and everything, and tooling pretty quick to detect whether or not whether there was exploit traffic going on, which is good. So yeah,
that's important, because otherwise, just people knocking at the outside, that's not necessarily useful. What were they doing a week ago when we didn't know about this yet?
Right.
Was there any previous exploits?
Right.
Do you actually have any vulnerable systems? And what do you do about it?
Right. And that's the challenge with this, right? Like with any of these exploits, yes, some researcher discovers them and discloses them, and then you get those like theoretically 0-day issues. But you know, there's plenty of stuff out there that researchers have found it after somebody else has. And how much damage do those guys get done before it gets disclosed?
Sometimes a lot,
sometimes a lot.
I haven't really heard any of the widespread. I got email from the FBI looking for. They want to know anybody that has been exploited. I'm sure they want to do some analysis.
I'm curious how you got on that email list.
I have no idea.
Good times. Yeah. I mean, we
So
can't
my
hang
personal
out
agent. Hi.
I actually don't know Brian that well. It's the first time I've met him, and probably the last time I'll talk to him. I'm gonna get a liquid, so maybe I don't know. I wish we had a video to show now. Squirrels, cats, otter of the day.
Oh,
If you haven't checked out Otter of the Day,
Daily Otter.
Daily Otter. That's why I have other people in my life, so that my vague memory of cool things is, firmed up by people that have a better memory.
Although in the chat, I will put a video that everybody should go watch because it's from back when AT&T actually cared. It's super interesting. Where I'm working on it. I got it here somewhere. Chris knows the one I'm talking about. I just sent it to him the other day. He had never seen it. Here it is.
My favorite is music.
So, oh, that is ugly. I should have cleaned that up a little bit. But hopefully that link works, and you should watch that some other time when we are not live, because it's a really cool video. And like Chris said, the music is the best part. But it's basically AT&T hot cutting a CO. Was it from rotary to touch tone or something like that? It was basically a giant phone switch upgrade for some reason. And it was quite impressive. Now they can't seem to be bothered to keep their circuits up. They've effectively gone from all of the nines all of the time to we'll do our best if you pay us enough. Which is a little disappointing, but it's been like that for years. Yeah, he was just putzing around in the kitchen, making a drink. God only knows what. He's getting into bottles I don't even recognize. Yeah. All right, you get hooked up. I need to go fight some scotch.
Good choice. See, ATT and cutovers. Music was awesome. To recap again, but in all seriousness, AT&T did care at one point, and there are still providers out there that put that kind of work into it, and we love them. But AT&T does not seem to be one of them anymore.
Here's Verizon.
I mean, yeah, Verizon is not it. Spectrum is not it. Basically, if you're a big player in telecom today, you like it seems like you can't be bothered to get out of bed in the morning. Which, I guess, if you can get paid to behave that way, where's the incentive?
Well, you get big enough, and who are your competitors?
Nobody.
They basically compete with each other, and they are all equally low on the delivery of their services.
Right. I mean, it's the race to the bottom. You'd like it to not be true, but I mean, memo to any provider out there that is listening, like, if you can manage to deliver better than your competitors, stick it out. You will end up with customer share.
Very accurate, JC. So the cloud these days remind me when they were telling me electric cars have never killed anyone. Yeah, cloud. Well, for what, 5 years now, has been overpromise and underdeliver, and then charge you twice for everything.
Like,
there are definitely use cases for the cloud.
You know, like, just to knock them down, right? Like, the big early sales pitch for the cloud was it's going to be cheaper. It's never cheaper.
Yeah, it's never cheaper.
Right. I mean, I think even if you pay full list for all of your hardware and all of your services, and you get a pretty good discount on your cloud service, you're going to end up paying about the same for a single year of cloud as you would for any new hardware system on site at your office. And you might think, well, but I don't have to have infrastructure people to manage that. But it turns out the cloud is actually harder to manage than on-prem systems. Like,
if anything, so you might get lucky and have systems and network people that can also move that knowledge seamlessly into the cloud. But more likely than not, you're trading maybe a percentage of some of your network and systems people for people that are more cloud centric.
Yep. Well, in cloud skill sets, despite the fact that the platform has been around, like, cloud has been around for 5-ish years. And yes, Amazon and Google and Azure will tell us all about how, like, oh no, we've been around for 10 years. Like, let's be honest, it's been like large scale adoption for about 5 years, give or take. And the skill sets still aren't there, right? Like, yes, you can hire people with a specific skill set. And if you're big enough, you can absolutely hire some pretty specific specialized people. But if you're a relatively average size business, like to the tune of 2,000-3,000 employees, even, like, not small, right? You still may struggle to find people with the right set of cloud experience.
Well, if you find them, you can't afford them. And can you justify having that person plus enough redundancy in personnel at that size?
Right.
I'm sure you guys struggle at that.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know any business in that, certainly in the small business landscape, and definitely in the medium business landscape, that doesn't have those problems, right? Like, it's hard to staff up. And like it or not, when you have things on-prem, you are able to keep things relatively tightly scoped. When you get into the cloud, like, every resource that you want to do out there is a new set of skills. Sometimes, like, yeah, there's overlap, but I'll tell you what, the guy that knows something about, like, Cosmos DB or whatever elastic flavor your cloud provider has is not the same guy that knows something about whatever WAF offering they've got.
Oh yeah, almost certainly not.
And maybe you've got some guy that had some experience with more traditional on-prem systems that can do some overlap with that, but maybe not.
And where does that leave the SMB? Okay, now you're stuck using the VAR, or just getting consultants per project.
Right.
How is this cheaper again? Now, granted, there's definitely things you can deliver from the cloud that you can't do with some on-prem servers. But the real answer may be definitely a mix of things.
So here's where I come down. It's because the next argument is like, okay, cloud's nimble, right? You know what? You can be nimble on-prem too. If you put the time and the effort into setting up templating, getting your deployment process down, setting some front-end portals, right? Like, you can do basically the same things that the cloud does for you.
You can even do it with most of the same tool sets.
Yeah.
Sometimes even all the same tool sets.
Right. So the idea that like, well, the only way to really be nimble is cloud is kind of a fallacy. And since most hardware systems are going to run you in pretty good shape for like 3 to 4 years, right?
Oh,
like
easy.
most hardware refreshes from compute standpoint are happening in the 3 to 4 year range. And they're not getting so long in the tooth at that 3 to 4 year range that they're unusable, right? Like it's not like you're just milking a system that's well past its prime and hoping for the best. Like, no, you're getting good performance out of these things for at least 3 years. You're certainly getting better than the cloud providers are giving you.
Oh, easily. Well, and what a lot of times it comes down to is processors are getting so much more efficient with every iteration. Storage is getting so much faster and lower power draw, where at that 3 year mark, just the power savings alone can justify if you have a big enough footprint. If you have 2 servers, that's never going to come into play. You're looking at 5+ years for your servers. If you have thousands of servers, you can cut 1,000 servers down to 500 and use half the power and have just as much compute.
Yeah,
that could pay for it right there.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, you never want just the same amount of compute.
Oh no,
Developers are hungry, man. Like they'll chew up every bit of compute you give them.
oh yeah.
You know, and like
The
developers, I
solution
don't
to every
hate you.
problem is not throwing resources at it.
I really don't like the magic that you guys do. We are all here. We're doing what we're doing right now because developers managed to come up with some really brilliant ideas and execute them well. And like that's what developers do every day. Like
Oh, yeah.
full respect. That being said, like I think every developer worth their salt will tell you, like, I don't worry about resources until I'm forced to. So like it's just a different ethos. But the idea that nimbleness is what you get out of the cloud is only true when you have consumed your capacity, your on-prem capacity, to the point where you don't have any more, right? And then yeah, lead times are a thing. It might take me 3 months to get my next batch of compute in. And then what the cloud providers will tell you, like, well, but you're over provisioned on-prem. And what I'll respond with is, I don't care because it's cheaper. Like I can be over provisioned for a year. A year of fully like 40% extra capacity is going to cost me. Like I buy a system day one on-prem with 40% more capacity than I need, right? I'm going to pay for that what I will pay for my first year of cloud. My second year of cloud, I'm going to pay the same amount. Actually, I'm going to pay a little more.
You're definitely going to pay more. Your
I'm not-
promotional pricing just ran out.
Right. I'm not going to pay anything other than power costs and staffing and licensing, right? But those costs are actually manageable. And once you do all the math, which figure out is like you can stand up 2 data centers and still get a year's worth of savings if you're on a 3-year refresh, right? And that's like with 40% extra capacity. Where the cloud is useful, in my estimation, is when you want to make a shift to a new region and you haven't managed to purchase the product yet, or when you have banking constraints. Like if you're small and you can't get a loan, like yeah, run cloud for a while. I get it, right? But the idea that like, oh, we're gonna start in the cloud and we're gonna stay in the cloud and we're gonna be so much cheaper for our whole life is just a lie. Like it's not true. And somebody's gonna come up with numbers and prove me wrong.
Yeah, depends on what your deliverable is. Do you need to be in dozens of regions? In which case, it's quite possible that the cloud will be cheaper in the long run.
And
But once
I
again,
would
it
say,
depends on how big. Facebook, they're at the point where it totally doesn't make. They are their own cloud. They run an internal. They are everywhere.
right.
There's no way they could just say, "Oh, well, we're just going to go AWS now." No, they're probably as big as AWS. There's no way.
Right.
But there's now a whole lot of Facebooks.
You look at companies like Netflix. Netflix is a great example of a company that went from very like, look, they used to ship DVDs, right? Like that was their business, and they very astutely made a shift to cloud, and provided a service that really, in a lot of ways, is defining the cloud industry. They're nimble, they're bright, and years ago they got out of the data center business, and for good reason. Like it was costing them a lot, but they did that at a point in time where they could make deals with their partners that got them like cloud for pretty cheap.
They also did smart things like every ISP that wanted one, practically, they would deliver a content cache to, or racks of them if it's a big enough ISP.
Right.
That probably saves them so much money.
Right.
It's a win-win. So whatever the provider is doesn't necessarily have to pay for the box itself. They're saving on bandwidth. Yeah, they're paying for power, but what they save is probably
right.
way more than the power they're dumping into it. And they didn't have to pay for the hardware. And then Netflix is paying for the hardware, but now that saves them so much bandwidth on the back end, makes everyone happy, gives better user experience.
Better user. Well, and like if you are an ISP in a region and you've got cash from Netflix and your customers want to consume Netflix, you have a, like, maybe not an obvious competitive edge, but you have a competitive edge. Like people like their Netflix. They don't want to wait.
I'm actually kind of surprised that Netflix hasn't leveraged their presence on basically having those cache boxes everywhere to do some like CDN kind of stuff, like on the side. Like, hey, we have excess capacity. Let's build these things out a little bit. Although it is kind of a saturated market.
I think that probably market saturation, probably focus on business, right? Like they do. They're really careful about how they choose to branch, at least as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Like, yes, Amazon's or not Amazon, Netflix Studios is a market that they hadn't previously played in, but they've done so, and they've got some great content out there. Like that's not an easy thing to do, right? Like everybody's trying to get in that market, and now like who's doing it successfully? I mean, you could sort of say that Apple has maybe got a couple of things. Not enough to make me get an iTunes account.
No, still don't have one.
But I'll tell you what, the content on Netflix, the content on Amazon, both worth the subscription. I like the content on Hulu. I like the content on Disney Plus. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm gonna have a Disney Plus account, right? Like, fine. If they bumped it to $10 a month, would I still have a Disney Plus account? Probably not. Like, it's not worth it. Like I love Star Wars. Don't get me wrong.
The scope.
Right. I think like there's a company that has correctly figured out like this is what we can charge. And Disney, if you're watching, take that to heart.
They're not. There's 4 people watching.
I mean,
none of them are Disney.
If someone knows someone at Disney, let them know. No, suffice to say, Netflix has made good choices, right? Then again, we don't know. Like they're cagey. Like they will tell everybody what they're doing after they've done it for about a year. But you know, they do what they do pretty well. Although coming back to the AWS outage, like December 7th and December 15th, Netflix impacted both times. Not great for them.
This is true. They can protect their systems, like the actual Netflix systems, as much as they want, as long as they're dependent on that cloud provider. That kind of screws them. because they've always done very innovative things. One of the first things I remember reading about Netflix was Chaos Monkey. They have a set of scripts, basically a system that its only job is to go in and break things in strange and unusual ways. And everybody else's job is to make sure it's never successful. It's basically a way to make sure that you're always protected from the things that should never break.
Right.
You have a chaos monkey that can just pull the plug on something that should never ever go down. Well, now you have to make sure that the things that can never ever go down can never ever go down.
The interesting thing about Chaos Monkey that I think a lot of people don't really realize is like Chaos Monkey runs on their production system.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like Chaos Monkey is out there constantly unplugging. Like it's a great analogy. It's like letting
a toddler
or a chimpanzee loose in your data center. Like you don't know what they're going to unplug, but they're going to unplug some things, particularly if you've trained them to unplug things.
Yes.
And that's what Chaos Monkey's been trained to do. Is like, yeah. And
if you can build a system where just random things can be disconnected at any time, just hey, let's take this whole data center offline, and nobody even notices.
I mean, there's a reason the number of postmortems you see from Netflix is so low.
Yeah.
Right. Like they are resilient.
Yeah.
And designed to be so because at the end of the day, they understand their customer base doesn't really care what's going on. Right. They get home at the end of the day.
They don't care why.
They get up in the morning, whatever it is. When they turn on Netflix, they want to see something. Right. And if the entire internet is down, what do you do? When you can't scroll Facebook, what do you do? Well, I'll turn something on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like that's the human thought process, right? Like
because that's
and
the
it
cable
better
replacement.
work. So and they've done a shockingly good job at making sure that it does.
They have.
I will also give props to Netflix and YouTube for having the best downsampling algorithms in the business. You get a tight, and I'm a cheapskate, so I've totally had really tight internet connections in my history. I'll tell you what, Hulu, Amazon, even Disney Plus, you get your bandwidth gets too tight. It just can't run. YouTube and Netflix, like they'll run with
very low bandwidth.
Really, really low bandwidth. I used to be able to run on a slightly more than 1 megabit per second connection, 2 RDP sessions, and 2 Netflix streams. So they weren't great. It was like watching TV in 1980, but they ran
on a WHS.
I mean, it wasn't awesome, but
did the job.
It did. Like you kept it up. Like at the end of the day, they remembered that what you want is push the button and make it happen. All right. So we talked about seagulls. Let's deliver the joy of seagulls. Okay. My phone. I'm just making sure work isn't exploding on.
Yeah, I know. That's the only reason I keep checking, just to make sure nothing crazy is going on.
Right.
So
you have 2 ops guys on a stream. Like you're gonna see us check our phones kind of obsessively.
Yeah, I know it's kind of it's rude. I'm sorry, but you guys, if you're watching this, you do it too.
Or if someday you're watching this and you're a prospective like ops person, just recognize that if you're going to do the job well, this will be you, right? Like you will not leave this thing alone, right? Like, yeah, there's going to be times you're going to be asleep, you're going to be out with your family, you're like, God willing, you're going to have an appropriate work-life balance. But like part of the discipline that's going to come into your heart is like, if there aren't really good reasons for you to not be watching, you're going to check your messaging all the time.
Well, and so work-life balance, day to day, absolutely. There should be clear delineation. But at the same time, sometimes shit happens.
Right.
And you will get a phone call at 3 in the morning, and your job is to answer it.
Right. Like you get up, you do the job, like, and your family's gonna know, right? Like your family or friends, they're all gonna get it. Like this is how you pay the bills, and like hopefully your job doesn't suck otherwise. And for the most part, I think ops jobs don't suck that bad. But like the 3 a.m.s,
Now,
nobody
if that's
likes those.
happening all the time, there you probably have bigger issues, or you're way too short-staffed
Right.
because you should have an adequate on-call rotation where you're not getting a call in the middle of the night every
Right.
night, because that is unacceptable as well.
Right. Like,
When it happens, you should be able to answer it, but it shouldn't be happening very often.
yeah, like if it's happening, if you go more than 2 months with a significant after hours need, like an unplanned after hours need, you're going to want to have a conversation with somebody about staffing, about approach, about whatever, about maybe not being a seagull.
Yes.
I'm going to get us there by hook or by crook. So don't be a seagull. Don't fly in, shit all over everything, and then fly away.
That is one of my newest sayings and one of my favorite, and I stole it from a customer.
No, it's great.
It's the most perfect name for that behavior.
Right. I mean, it's always super tempting to like, you want to get stuff done, right? Like, and I'm ready to go. Let's just do it. Let's just do it, man. Let's just do it. Don't. Take a step back. Don't do a change on a Friday night. Do you want to go out to dinner with your friends? Do you want to go drink? Like, whatever recreational thing you do at the end of a day, the end of a week,
Yes.
do it. But don't pack a change in front of it. Like, I know you want to get it done. Your boss wants to get it done. The whole business really wants it done. But what I assure you is what the business wants more is for the system not to go down.
Especially the people that depend on that system to do their jobs. They don't care why it's down. Doesn't matter to them. Doesn't even matter if it's somebody else's problem. You're the face of IT. You are the last name they heard. It's your problem now.
Right.
Don't break their shit. Leave it in a better state than you found it.
Don't do Friday changes.
Yeah, don't do Friday changes.
Unless you're on a calendar where Friday is not the end of the week. But
True,
don't do
true.
Friday changes. Maybe don't do Thursday changes, right? Like, you know what? You can change the memory allocation very minutely on a couple of back-end Windows servers. Like
going up or you going down?
Going up.
Okay.
Yeah. You can go up on a memory allocation. You can.
You don't get clever on a Friday.
Right.
Do simple, stupid, dumb things.
You can always do user maintenance unless their service counts. But like, don't get greedy, right? Like, vet your change. If you're confident in your change, you're going to be confident on Monday, right? If there's a strong security reason, suck it up and know you're not going drinking tonight, right? Like, maybe you'll get lucky and you do, but like, put it in your head that you're in it. Don't be that guy that swoops in, makes a change, and leaves. It's not going to work out well, and everyone will hate you.
Yes.
So don't be a seagull. I'm waiting to see it. I'm waiting to see like the seagull. Obviously none of the cloud providers are ever going to say like, yeah, we had an employee that rolled in, made a quick change, and then like they left a Bora Bora, so like we couldn't get a hold of them while they were on the flight.
Yeah, I see it all the time. Somebody makes some changes, hits commit, and deuces.
But like,
doesn't even wait to see if the commit went through. Doesn't wait to see if it did what they thought it would do.
Facebook needed a bolt cutter to get it back online. I mean, come on.
And an angle grinder, and
at some point, I'm going to guess that the guy that committed the change actually had a chance to roll it back. Like there had to be a moment, right? Like where it was going really far south and could have like,
That's
maybe not, but I'm imagining like there's a guy that like either seagull or crying.
See, I think this was too long of drinking your own Kool-Aid,
Fair enough.
thinking everything you do is perfect, where we don't need a parallel management plane. We don't need out of band management. We just do everything all on the production network, like all back end traffic, all front end traffic, everything. Because that's effectively what happened.
Right.
Like, I mean, when even the door swipes don't work because why is that on why is that on the same network as everything else?
And I know a little bit about door
Why does that need to be a
systems.
globally access? Why does that need to be a global system?
Why aren't your door access panels caching data? Like just really basic stuff. Like, yeah, does it make them slightly more prone to exploit? Sure.
Well, you can eat your own dog food, but don't drink your own Kool-Aid.
But that I bet you that Facebook guy is really like going into his manager's office after 8 hours. See, this is what happens when you have an out-of-band management plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like you can't win, but don't ever be convinced that you're the smartest thing on the block because you're not.
No, you have to expect that at some point there's going to be a problem.
Mhm.
And honestly, I'm sure everyone has run into a situation where there's this very specific sequence that you can power systems up in, because VMware won't come up if DNS won't come up. Well, DNS lives on the domain controllers on the VMware host, or that's running on VMware, and we don't have any physical DCs. What do we do now? Well, I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just assume that nothing will ever go down. Well, at some time, you're going to go hard down, and it's going to suck. Why not make things so that is not an issue? Don't make these crazy interdependencies where one little thing does not happen as you expected, and everything else just won't work.
Right. And realistically, what you have to look at is like, okay, do more than two things have to go wrong for me to be down? If it's more than two things, you're like, that's reasonably good installation. But like, if it's like, oh, as long as this and this don't happen at the same time, I'm fine. You know what? Those two things are going to happen. They're just gonna, like, not today, not tomorrow, but sometime in the next 3 years, you betcha. And do you hate your life enough to give up one? Actually, let's be honest. If that stuff happens, you're giving up like 3 days of your life. Like, so that's 1 day a year. Are you just willing to scrap 1 day a year? Because you couldn't architect it better? I don't know. Like maybe you don't have a choice. I get it. I've been there.
Yeah.
Like we sometimes make hard choices, but yeah, don't make these crazy interdependencies. Don't do awful things.
No, and I see it all the time. Systems that are overbuilt but under-engineered.
Yeah.
You're adding all kinds of extra complexity, which is introducing extra points of failure. It's not necessarily the best way to go. So
Right.
sometimes adding complexity is not avoidable, but
Right.
more
Like when you go to
often
the
than
cloud.
not, the simple way is the best way.
I mean, I think one of the things that has steered me right is to avoid optimism. Right.
Oh yeah. Got to be
like,
a pessimist.
We're not paid to be optimists.
No.
And sometime when somebody can yell at you about it, they've yelled at me about it. Like, oh, come on. Like, no,
that's
you are not paying me.
my job is to tell you what you don't want to hear, the truths that you don't want to hear.
Right.
That's my job. If you are a yes man, yes men are a dime a dozen. You can get those all over the place. There's all kinds of guys that heard the radio ad to get a free pizza party or a free Xbox if they went and talked to somebody about getting an IT degree where they're going to make gobs of money.
I mean,
Those people, you can get those people. They'll say yes all day long. Sorry, I'm going to tell you the truth, and you might not like it. But ignore it at your own peril.
right. I mean, when you make people make hard choices, like at least have somebody that is going to like tell you the hard choices they're making. So, yeah. Is anybody out there? We have 4. We're up to 4.
Yeah, we've been up to 4 for a while.
Oh,
I've been watching
Look at-
for messages or
look at me.
chats.
they're quietly watching us.
Yeah.
Either they're entertained or they've turned it on and have fallen asleep.
Yeah, that could be.
I mean,
We will put people to sleep.
maybe we have soothing voices.
Yeah.
I've always thought you've had a soothing voice, Brian.
Thank you.
I totally don't fall asleep listening to recordings that I've secretly taken of Brian. That's not true. What I fall asleep,
That's why I trimmed all the trees in the front. So it kept. So something we had touched on. What was that? Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever we did our little tech video.
Sure.
But has become relevant again because of another Amazon outage. Is people that are heavily dependent on Amazon now think that to protect themselves from an Amazon outage, need to go multi-cloud. Okay, maybe, but you need to think about what you're doing. Are you actually going multi-cloud? Are these all like siloed instances where anything can run independently? Or are you just making so any cloud provider goes down and you now go down?
Right. Like, have you decided that your database platform is Azure, your compute platform is GCP, and your edge routing platform is Amazon? Because if you have,
congratulations, you just became that situation. You've tripled your exposure. And that's not a good thing. That's exactly what I was talking about, where it's overbuilt, under-engineered.
Right.
Nobody sat down and thought about the different failure modes. Well, they didn't even get to those words. It's just, we're going to put all kinds of things in all kinds of places and we'll be super redundant. That's not how that works.
I mean, that's not to say that you shouldn't, right? Like
oh, absolutely.
If you can diversify your compute, for instance, right? Like right now we're a single platform for compute or web front end, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, if you're single platform now and you get multi-platform next year, do it. Like, you're going to be more resilient. You're going to get more bang for your buck. Honestly, when one vendor wants to rake you over the coals for money, and like, that's all right, we're good. And they will, their jaws will drop to the floor. Like, well, what do you mean you're leaving? Like, oh no, we're running in the other 2 clouds.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you. And they'll be like,
the hardest part of that is objects and data, like database on the back end.
Right.
That compute layer, that's relatively easy. Getting people to any instance, SLB. But you have to avoid just doing like Route 53. Don't just take the easy route. You need some way to make that fail over to, hell, run your own GSLB instances somewhere else or use somebody else's product. You need to have a way where at every step, there's some things. So the root DNS system, you pretty much have to assume that that's going to be present and working.
Sure.
If it's not, nothing else is going to work anyways.
And let's be honest, when is the last time we had a root DNS issue?
It's been over a decade, as far as I can remember.
Yeah. That is a well-designed, well-engineered system, and it is wickedly over-redundant.
Yes.
That thing survives.
On purpose. Yeah. Right. You can lose a whole lot and everything still works.
Most, like, when done when done well, the internet as a whole, like when I think of the internet, I think of like the routing structures, right? Like
BGP.
BGP. BGP is pretty resilient. You can take huge sections of the internet out, and while some individuals may not be able to get there, like if level 3 decides to just like take a hike, you're gonna have problems, right? But when you're talking about your stuff and what people can get to, like Amazon is good proof, as is Azure, and occasionally GCP. It's proof that like we're totally diversified. We did everything that they told us we should do, and turns out that they didn't.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Well, and that comes into being a pessimist. Assume that they're going to screw something up.
Assume they're as human as you are.
Assume they're as human as you are. What's the contingency plan?
Right. I think that the interesting thing that often happens is like you get into these conversations. It's like, well, they got a lot of smart guys working on Amazon. I'm like, it's not about how smart you are.
Yeah.
It's about whether or not you're human, right? Because it takes one human to have made a latent choice 20 years ago in the configuration of their backplane system that they haven't had the time to mitigate, right? Like, we all got tech debt. Tell me, if you can tell me there's nothing lurking in your system that if like the wrong conditions occur, won't bite you in the butt, I will tell you you are a liar.
Oh, absolutely.
Or unaware.
Yeah, you haven't looked hard enough. If you think there's no gremlins in your systems, you have not looked hard enough. Absolutely.
I mean, Ted Kaczynski probably had no latent technology issues in his bunker with his typewriter. Although I would guess he periodically had a jam driven.
Yeah, you hit the wrong combination of keys in there.
Right. Like maybe he had an extra typewriter and he typed this way, so like it always
redundancy. Redundant array of independent typewriters.
Rate. I think more people need a rate. If you're going to be a bunker dwelling conspiracy theory evoking letter bomber, you should totally subscribe to the rate theory of typewriters. Like, do you do, when you're doing that, do you do two different typewriters, like one IBM Selectrix and one like,
yeah.
I mean,
you went with like the traditional arms, you went with the speedball.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to.
I mean, that ultimately is going to limit your passes, but you got to try.
Okay, JC, you're still on. Well, what do you want us to talk about?
Apparently,
I just got a message.
I got a message about 18 minutes ago. Not a work message though, so that tells you that I have my priorities in bad order, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, JC, tell us what you want us to talk about. I mean, I'm willing to go for at least another.
Or you want to join us? Shoot me a message if you want to join us. Do it. I know you want to do it.
We've talked to each other for like an hour.
Notifications coming out. I don't know where. Hold on, JC, I'm going to send you an invite. Working on it. I'm slow.
Just challenge. Yeah.
If you're decent.
If not, just don't turn your camera on.
Yeah.
Do we have the 10-second delay?
No, we don't have a dump yet.
Whoops.
We don't even have audio in ideal. We need to get some real, just what we got going on now to be able to monitor two different, and like we can't hear ourselves or each other, so that's why both of us are kind of his are open ear, but I can only put one bud in, otherwise I can't hear anything.
I hate closed ear. I barely tolerate them when I'm like doing loud, heavy equipment work. And yeah, as far as noise canceling, nope, can't do it.
Yeah, see, I don't do that, but I do like the isolation.
Yeah, not a fan. I don't know, just something about it. I've been on planes and I'm like, why haven't I ever had noise canceling? And then I get off the plane and I'm like, that's why. Yeah.
All right. Before we interrupted.
We've been going for more than an hour.
I know, hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
If we could make 2 hours, I figure that's a good start.
Yeah. We're gonna need
1:12. Oh yeah, we started at like quarter after. We had meant to start at 8, and we had all kinds of audio problems. Couldn't get both our headphones to work at the same time.
It was sad. I mean, we wanted it to work in case one of you all wanted to interact with us. But
yeah, because if it's just the two of us, we really don't need it.
No.
It's if we bring somebody else in.
I mean, Brian just reads my lips.
Yeah.
Or my lip, as the case may be. We don't have enough people on to ask them what they think of my hat. Ooh. I heard that. That was fun.
Oh, okay.
Well, bring them on too. Come on.
That's all right, JC.
We can answer all of their IT questions.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's on vacation until the new year.
Oh, that's nice. I am looking forward to Jamaica.
Yeah. I don't really get vacation anymore.
Okay, Frenchman. I don't get vacation.
It's gonna be shit because I work 2 days a week.
I mean, isn't that look? If we all could do that, we would. Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I work 2 days a week, but I only get paid for 2 days a week. I mean,
yes. There's that.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's 3. I think this last week was busy, just because of the.
Oh, don't worry. Somebody will get exploited by this, and they'll want to.
It's not gonna be any of my customers.
Nope.
That.
See. Well, that you don't want it to be any of your customers because they're like, well, what are you doing? You want it to be somebody else's customers that then become your customers. It is like when you're in the consulting business, at the end of the day, it is a zero-sum thing. Like if they're not your customer, they're somebody else's. And if they're somebody else's customer, they could be yours.
Yeah.
There are always new customers, but not that many.
Yeah, and it's zero-sum for the number. I mean, like you said, it's the total number of potential customers does fluctuate, but they do a really good job. They'll do really good business, and they will become a bigger customer.
Right.
So,
no, doing a good job for your customer helps them do well, and
give them the tools they need to become better, become the best whatever widget maker they can be.
Yeah, like don't break their stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely don't break their stuff.
So many messaging applications. So I have only 2 messaging applications that I have to monitor on the regular. But at one point I had 4. It was awesome. I was monitoring Link, before it was Teams, Slack, Chat, and what was the 4th? Oh, the people that used email, like it was Chat. It's the best. So I guess I only have 3 now.
Okay.
I just have Chat, Slack, and people that use email like it's Chat. So it's 1 less than before.
Yeah.
I really, I don't like Slack.
It needed to have evolved over the last 4 years, and it hasn't.
I mean, it's super integrated with everything. And to be clear, I like Slack more than I like Discord. But I was never like an IRC or chat room kind of guy. Like multi-threaded chat drives me nuts.
Discord, as long as the server is set up well, where there's enough
Okay,
different channels for different things.
sure. Well, the multi-channel nature of things also drives me nuts. Like, I want it. I want it neither way. I want it both ways.
Both ways and neither at the same time.
Right. I want it to be easy. Ultimately, I want people banging stuff out on rocks in a language that I understand, and that's it. Just
You have like 2, 3, maybe 4 people. You can do Slack. It doesn't even matter at that point. You can do a
Right.
single channel, and everybody just vomits into that channel, and everybody's fine. You can't scale that up.
no.
Because that's because that's how they set it up. That's how your admin set it up.
Yeah, that's not a global protect setting. That's not
Well,
a
no,
global
it's a
protect feature. That is a configurable setting
yes.
by the people that are running your global protect.
What is your favorite layer?
What is my favorite layer? Oh, that's easy. I want to know yours because I know mine. OSI layer, I assume we're talking about. Because if
Yeah.
we're talking about cake,
Oh, I would.
it's the
assume
crust.
so. Probably layer 3 for me, but I don't know.
Layer 1,
Yeah.
hardware, baby. I am a systems guy. I mean, to be fair, like the kooky stuff they do to make electrons provide us all these pretty things.
Well, yes, it's very interesting, but it's not something we interact with on a daily basis.
No, not at all.
Well, me
He
being
didn't
a
ask what the most
firewall
useful
guy,
one.
it
He
should be
asked
like
me what
layer
my
7.
favorite.
Not true. All right. You got me there.
Like, there's crazy physics going on down there.
Oh, there is.
We're getting away with stuff that like is voodoo.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yes.
Now here's the thing. Like people talk about, oh, what's the question is, what does OSI stand for? So that's to you. Who's that?
That's JC.
JC, what does OSI stand for? I honestly don't remember. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to see if you beat me to it. I got to pick a new tab because I don't want to lose my postmortems thing.
Catherine also likes layer 1.
Right? I mean, to be
that's
clear,
the layer. That's where she deals. So, me, it's
a
3 and up.
little. I mean, you occasionally work on layer 2 switching, like not anymore, probably.
But that's pretty cut and dry. It just is what it is. It's 3 and up where creativity comes into play.
I mean, to be clear, layer 1 is wicked boring.
Yes.
All right, I didn't either, so I will take that comment under consideration. The response was that JC didn't remember, and that I should find something to do with myself. So open systems interconnection is the OSI model.
I knew the SI. I couldn't remember what the hell O was.
Back when open meant something.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
You are not the only one to Google it.
Yeah. Don't feel bad.
Although I didn't Google it, I searched for it using Google. Not a huge fan of verbification of nouns. Ever since, back in the day when people were like, oh, you totally cursed it.
What about nounification of verbs?
Nounification of verbs. Like I got the runs. I'm actually okay with the nounification of verbs.
Yeah.
Like if a verb is evocative enough to be a noun.
Well, so it's not unrelated. It's not necessarily boring, but it's more of a. It's more set and forget it, I guess. It's more. It's just it is what it is. There's no really wiggle room.
I am not so far away from my desktop support days that I don't remember dealing with the awfulness of physical layer stuff, right? Like, at the end of the day, like, yeah, when you spend enough time in the industry, like, if you're not still doing like end user support or like data center work, you hook stuff up, and once somebody goes in there and messes with it, if you've got decent quality stuff, your network cables aren't going to go bad.
I'm the only layer 4 clown fighting the good fight.
I mean, is it really a good...
Are you a clown or are you a carny?
I mean, you can be a carny or you can be a rube. All right, let's see here. I'm going to give a list of the layers because, why would I remember them?
I know the important ones.
I mean, I do like layer 2, mostly because I'm looking forward to the day that we run out of MAC addresses.
Yeah, that's not that big of a deal.
No, but it'll make people scramble. Transport layer. All right, let's go through this for those at home. Layer 1, physical layer. Layer 2, data link layer. Interestingly enough, early in my career, I had some horrible times with layer 2 because turns out ArcNet over Twisted Pair, layer 2 doesn't work well. That's true. Layer 3, the network layer. Layer 4 is the transport layer. Layer 5 is the session layer. Layer 6 is the presentation. I actually work with the session layer way too much. It's awful. Layer 6 is the presentation layer, and layer 7 is the application layer. I deal with all kinds of awful session things. Incidentally, Nginx, great at doing session things. Just a pitch for an open source free product.
Yeah, Nginx is great at doing a lot of things.
It is.
It's a great reverse proxy. It's a great forward proxy. It's a great web server.
Mm-hmm.
If
you beef it up, it's actually a pretty good WAF. Which effectively is a reverse proxy.
Wow. But a reverse proxy with filtering.
Yeah. It's going to be hard for us to do like network layer or transport layer. It's just it's not its job. Yeah. So yeah, layer 1. I'm not so far gone from my support days that I don't remember the joys and pains of connectivity. Then again, I got to work with
cables.
BNC.
You got people kicking at it. And
oh my favorite layer 1 failure. I had a customer that had a computer that worked fine, probably 75% of the time. And like they're like, yeah, it works great, like most of the time, but every once in a while, it's just like it flakes out. Sometimes it can connect, and sometimes it can't. So I'm digging around and I finally like checking network connections. They're all plugged in well, and I finally traced this network cable. It runs under this desk and over the top of a baseboard heater.
Every time that thing cycles on.
Well, so I pick up the cable and I'm like, granted, it wasn't like stranded, but it was twisted pair. Like there's usually some flexibility in it. Like this thing was like, I mean, it's plastic and copper. It bent a little bit, but I'm like, this is way stiffer than it should be. And so like I'm replacing this anyway, so I chopped into it. And what I found was like this molten glob in the center with like 4 pieces of copper. When it was cool, it was fine. Like the copper maintained pretty good orientation, like they were ultimately twisted. But like when it got hot, they'd float around and touch. And that turns out is not great for network signals.
Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
I was like, it's like, well, I fixed your problem. Like, did you? It's intermittent. People haven't been like, let me show you. I'm like, huh? I'm like, let me show you what that's supposed to look like. And I chop close to the like end of it. I'm like, this is what it's supposed to look like. Oh, that's different. I'm like,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no. In ArcNet days, I had 2 ArcNet cards that refused to sit next to each other. Like they could not be adjacent in line. If you had another ArcNet card between them, they were fine. And you say, oh, you just had the same addresses. No, I did not have the same addresses.
Yeah, that would have been my first SIMAC. Well,
I flipped the dip switches, and changed their addresses. Like it was a 6-node ArcNet network. I had plenty of room to play.
Yeah.
Flip stuff around, obviously working differently, because in those days you actually had to configure for what you put on the dip switches. And yeah, no, they just refused to sit next to each other. It was like 2 6-year-olds that hated each other in first grade. Like you could not put them next to each other, or they would fight. I had a this was a coaxial ArcNet card, but that one needed to be taken for a ride. Like I had that computer apart. I pulled the card out. I put it back in.
Yeah.
I took it back to my office. It worked fine. So I took it back with like a ton of extra hardware. I plugged it back in. It worked fine. You need to go for a ride. I don't know.
Like a toddler.
Like a toddler.
Yeah,
I mean, the computer is probably about 3 years old when that happened. So maybe, like weird stuff at layer 1. Kind of awesome stuff too, like bend radiuses. That's my favorite. I love people. Oh, so like if I put a right angle, like you can't put a right angle in coaxial. Just like cables might bounce back today, but never gonna get signal through.
Nope. Well, then fiber. Yeah, modern fiber isn't going to break anymore, but you get past the angle where it can reflect back in, and you're just attenuating like crazy there. You might get some signals still through, but
it is fun to hand interns fiber in there. What's this cable? It's fiber optic. You just ruined it. Woo! I'm just kidding. It's not the old stuff.
That's more you made this year. No, not really.
Yeah. All right. I need more liquid. Is anybody still watching us?
Supposedly 4.
All right. Do you need more liquid? You get to go first.
Comment if you're still actually watching.
I'm leaving my eyes open until I see a comment out of my peripheral vision.
Yeah.
You're
We're at
really
like an hour and a
dry eyes.
half, which is about the soft target.
I've been trained by a cat.
Yeah, I can't keep my eyes open for that long. Contacts go dry really quick.
Oh yeah.
Ah, damn
There we
it.
go.
Oh, Mikey. Holy shit.
Mike Nyson, everybody. Mike Nyson. You should post that one on there. He's famous.
Yes.
Now. He's famous to 4 people.
Yes.
Are you enjoying
right.
it so far, Mike?
All right. Jeez, he's still there. Mostly. Oh, he's got a girlfriend there. He ain't paying attention. Oh, well. All right. Well, we got at least 3.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's more than we have right here.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Mike, you in a position where you could, you want to hop on with us? Wash hands. Why? What were you just doing?
Making dinner.
Oh,
Making dinner.
okay.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean. Like when you got to wash your hands.
Yes.
We're going to let Mike join us. And, how are packets distinguished between each other on the wire? On the wire, they aren't packets. Just saying.
The frames.
They're not even frames.
Well,
On the wire, they are signals.
true.
Actually, on the wire, they're carrier waves. Like modern networking, total carrier waves. People are like, oh, so it just goes up and down. Like, not anymore. We cannot do it that fast. Now, don't get me starting about talking about parallel printing, because that was amazing.
Printing is the simplest thing that always goes bad for no. Printing you should never have a problem with printing. And yet,
so,
hey, Mike, I sent you an invite. If you feel like hopping on while we're still on, you feel free.
Also, if you're you should, send Brian all of your printing tickets, since like you should frames. Again, not on the wire.
Well, yeah, but there's the start and stop sequence.
Sure, there is a start signal. At layer 2, there are things that they do to start and stop signals.
Oh.
I'm getting dinged, Brian.
Oh, that was meant to be a clap emoji, not a washing hands.
Oops. Don't get me wrong. I think it's very important that you understand the signal, the stuff you're working with, and you should know it pretty well.
Oh, well, yeah, there's a start and then there's a length, so it just counts. So I guess there is no actual stop.
Says the guy whose favorite layer is 4.
Yeah, interframe silence. Basically, somebody stops talking, then you get to, like, there's like a back off period, and then you can start talking. And if not, then, yeah. Yeah, I think interframe silence. It's something interframe something. You might be right. Interframe silence.
Yep, that's right. The network just waits for people to shut up.
No, effectively.
Although sometimes, like, they pay attention to the length and go, "Oh, it's my turn to talk." It's been silent long enough. Nope. Turns out that was just a gap.
Well, and now with now that everything is switched, as long as you're not contending with an overabundance of multicast traffic, it's not really as big of a deal as it used to be.
Yep.
So
Good one.
it's the bourbon talking at this point. Well, it was scotch tonight. Ardbeg Oogie Dale. It's delish. What are you drinking, JC?
Bourbon.
Well,
He's drinking bourbon.
clearly.
I mean, I hope it's not clear.
Yes, it better not be that clear bourbon. That's devil juice.
So far I've had myself the overdriver, or overdriver. I'm not sure how that's pronounced, but
Probably overdriver.
yeah, overdriver.
Overdriver.
The Uber driver. Yeah, we should get some.
The Uber driver.
We'll get some aquavit in there, and then it can be the Uber driver.
Oh. Aquavit doesn't start to know.
No, it really doesn't. And then I moved on to the gin and tonic with Old Tom Gin, which is, it's like gin.
Which Four Roses?
And are you
Single
mixing them
barrel?
with the wine?
Oh, I hope not.
We could discover something new.
There's Four Roses single barrel. There's they have a couple of different cask strengths.
And we've made it an hour and a half, so now this particular
yeah,
live
now
stream
it's off the rails.
Yeah, now it can be.
Yeah, I mean, it has been for a little while here.
I'll be right back. Since I'm here, I'm gonna get myself some plastic ready.
Oh, yeah. Our rough goal is to keep the first hour on topic, because I don't know. I don't like watching overly long live streams. Some people go 4, 5, 6 hours. I don't have time for that. I can watch it later at 1.5 speed if it's really interesting content. But nah, well, we'll try and keep the important stuff to the first hour. Although, I mean, ideally, this is going to be primarily live. Hopefully, at some point, we'll have enough people on where we'll actually get good questions, not like from you schmucks. And we actually talk about stuff. So
we're gonna get people on that like work with us and like, hey, so I've got this problem. We're gonna end up doing like live support.
Yeah, whatever.
That could be fun.
It happens.
Oh, speaking of, now I'm drinking the classic latte, which is technically Scotch. It's unpeated and it tastes like a really nicely heavy Irish whiskey.
I went the opposite direction. I just went for the Irish whiskey. That's an Irish whiskey. Dead Rabbit.
Here's to thick liquor.
Mm-hmm. Jesse doesn't know what kind of Four Roses he's drinking because he didn't answer. He's too preoccupied with a woman. Oh, holy crap, we're up to 5. I don't even know 5 people. That must be an accident. Although I did send it out in Talkaholics, maybe somebody actually hopped on.
Right. Well, it's in Talkaholics.
Hey, who's number 5? Who hopped on and then disappeared? That's a Travis Shamockery.
we're really going to need to bring this monitor up so that we spend
Well,
less time.
I know the monitor's way down here, clearly. And yeah,
We're actually watching football on here, like just backlogs.
Sorry, say again. Oh, I wanted to know what kind of Four Roses you're drinking. Which one?
Also, what's your girlfriend drinking?
Probably the wine.
Dead air. Way to go.
Yep. Well, it happens. So what else is new and exciting in the world?
Well, as you know, my oldest child's school was canceled on Friday because, kids and internet rumors enabled by the internet rumor machine.
Oops. Yeah, what? I don't get that. A rumor that there's something on TikTok, but there's no evidence of anything being on TikTok.
I understand the thing. Like, they didn't have proof that it wasn't a threat. They also didn't have proof that it was. And like in today's climate, you've got to roll that way. Unfortunately, what it did is it taught probably a couple hundred kids that if they want to cancel school, they can.
Just say something stupid on TikTok.
Or
say that you saw something
right, because
TikTok.
then it's not like you saying it.
Like,
right?
I don't know. I just heard a thing about a thing, and me with the overabundance of caution.
Right, like it's the same thing. I was discussing this with my wife. It's like, well, like if they call a bomb into a school, like they don't just go, well, it doesn't seem like a credible threat. No, they always treat it as a credible threat until they can prove that it isn't, because you can't chance it, right? Which is awful. So at this point, you just need to have adequate reporting. And if like a school says like, oh, there's rumors of this going around, like, okay, find the source of the rumor, report it to the parents, and like parents, if you don't want your kids home every other day from school, which I'm assuming that you have jobs that require you to work them, so you probably don't. Maybe have some discussions about that behavior.
Well, here's all the data, so you can make an informed decision.
I when our son asked, like, why don't I have school? The summary was because some kids were dumb. And he's like, oh, okay. It with the wisdom of like a 5-year-old, right? Like, oh, you're right. I get that. Totally doesn't have like the scope of it, but like, good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? You got your Christmas shopping done?
I got everybody the crypto.
Excellent. Your Christmas shopping's so easy. I have not gotten you anything yet this year, Brian. Yeah, it's fair enough. Just wanted to make sure I shouldn't be shopping.
Well, yeah, no.
Actually,
I don't particularly like getting presents.
Yeah, I'm aware.
No,
He likes to give. Brian is a giver.
Makes me uncomfortable getting presents. And I don't like to be prescribed to give gifts to certain people at certain times. If I see something that somebody I think they'll like, I get it and give it to them. I don't know.
Indeed.
I mean, that doesn't mean I don't like Christmas. I like Christmas. I like hanging out with family and friends. And
see, that's one of my favorite holidays, Thanksgiving. Like, I don't mind getting gifts. I don't mind getting gifts from you. I don't mind a reminder to get people gifts, because I totally need that. Like, I wander around my merry little way, like, oh yeah, I should get that food. Fine. Christmas is fine. But like all the stress that people get into around Christmas because of the gift stuff and like the For some reason, people get together more with family around Christmas than they do around Thanksgiving, which I personally think is a little nuts. Like yes, if you're a part of a family that like celebrates Christmas, fine, you're going to get together with them, but you should also probably be getting together around Thanksgiving. People treat it as lower key, fine. I guess that is why I like it better. People treat it as lower key. Nobody gets super bent out of shape about like, oh, so and so didn't attend my Thanksgiving feast. Like, stuff happens. The point is to enjoy.
Maybe we need holidays spaced out, like specifically family oriented. Maybe we need one like in the middle of summer.
Well, yeah.
Like, hey, this is
You mean
get
like
together with all your like cousins and
I mean, people do that with 4th of July sometimes. They're like,
yeah, some families do.
The nice thing about Thanksgiving is it's also the time of year that like it's cooler, right? Like you're not brutal heat. You're probably not going to be outside on Thanksgiving, which
Well, let's
like
toss the football around for a little while.
I'm in case you can't tell, I am pretty pasty white. Me and the sun don't get along so pretty hot. So like November is my jam. And like you get to Christmas, like sometimes the weather is just truly awful. Like, yeah, you can have snow on Thanksgiving, but like you could be sitting in a blizzard on Christmas and that's fine. Anyway, I prefer Thanksgiving. Maybe because I like pumpkin pie. I don't know.
Oh.
All I'm getting is obnoxious alerts that I can't respond to.
No.
Because they're not actionable.
Your alert should be actionable.
They should.
Non-actionable. That's something we should talk about.
That is our next topic. Actionable versus non-actionable alerts.
Non-actionable alerts are just background noise.
They're basically guaranteed to turn into ignored alerts.
Well, you're raising the noise floor, and yeah, you're inducing alert fatigue.
But let's save that for next time. Although we totally just gave away, don't do it.
Although the thing is, if anything is like super actionable, why isn't it triggering a script to mediate it?
We have dreams, Brian. We have dreams.
Yeah, so that could probably be a whole show.
Yes.
But don't do it. That's non-actionable. that's the beginning
Cliff's
and
notes,
the end.
Abstract.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Seagull, comma, don't be one. Non-actionable alerts, comma, no.
Yeah. I think we'll just have a header. Nope. : being a seagull. Non-actionable alerts. Yeah. I mean,
you're not wrong, but I'm not putting that up. JC, what do you think about non-actionable alerts?
Or Mike, if you're still paying attention.
Or whoever Russell Croix is.
Maybe that's the girlfriend.
Oh, but that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
I mean, I'm excited to find out who Aurora St. Croix is. Post a headshot. I said,
I don't.
Post a picture of your face. Or not. And we're down to 3.
Yeah.
Look at us. We've gone on too long. We're losing viewership.
Well, in 10 minutes, it's 2 hours. Probably we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Unless
Little bow on
somebody has something really interesting to talk about.
Clearly Christmas shopping, wasn't it? I got basically all of my Christmas shopping done today.
Yeah, I almost stopped watching when start talking about Christmas shopping.
Right. What about Thanksgiving shopping? Did you get all your Thanksgiving shopping done?
Yes, it involved. I don't remember what I brought to Thanksgiving this year.
I was talking about for next year.
Oh, for next year? No, I don't want to.
Just get a big turkey.
But next year, I'm just doing turkey breasts.
Just turkey breast.
I have perfected the turkey breast.
Okay. Sous vide?
Oh yeah,
of course.
24 hours. Well, anything over like 20 to 24 hours at I think 167 degrees. I don't know. I have notes somewhere.
We got a response from her.
And then Sirit can't talk driving. Can't stop, won't stop. So you'd think I've seen your alerts. Okay.
Throwing shade.
Many of them are actionable. Do they get acted upon? I'll ask you that.
And one of the distinctions between one of the things I think you have to recognize about alerts is some actions are largely just information to digest, right? Like it's possible to get an alert that is informative, but doesn't require anything more than awareness, right? Like first alert, hey, CPU spike. Okay, what are you going to do about that? Probably nothing, right? Second CPU
if you have appropriate monitoring and logging, etc., where it can be like, hey, something weird's happening, might want to look into that on Monday. Mm-hmm. That is not necessarily a loggable alert or a actionable alert, but it is a useful one. It's like a, hey, this is a little out of this is weird. You should look at this, but it's not.
And there's a case to be made that why should you get that alert on Saturday when you're not going to look at it until Monday? Or like maybe you should get a digest on Monday that says, here's the things that occurred over the weekend
that weren't important enough.
Right.
I could buy into that. A digest of them in the next.
The challenge is like a lot of stuff. Like how do you get that digest? A lot of software products out there don't provide that functionality. Like that level of sophistication is frequently missing. And yeah, you could write it yourself.
Yeah. Trying to think.
I don't have that much time.
I wonder if what?
I think that means
ignoring anything that is a reboot after that.
I mean, I don't filter anything. My mailbox on Monday morning is obnoxious, but like I have a ton of tags, so I can filter through them pretty quick. But I review things en masse over the weekend. Like I look at stuff, but I'm not going in and like, I'll check my email.
And I think once if you're filtering on your email client, something has already gone wrong upstream with your alerting.
Right.
So ignore anything that is a reboot. Okay, are you getting notifications of reboots on firewalls or routers or switches? If you're getting reboots on servers, there's no reason for you to be getting those. They don't have their alerting set up correctly. That's not useful information to you. For firewall reboots, that is useful information to you.
And I would ask why the network guy is getting reboot alerts.
I'm figuring it's probably for network equipment. I'm hoping.
I mean,
even then, it's not necessarily. It should. Once again, that's probably a digest. Okay, it rebooted. If it's back up, I don't give a shit. I would like to know about it
right, like
in a digest,
unexplained reboots, like,
but I would like to know, hey, this is down.
yeah,
But even then, he's purely firewall security. So,
like if the device
like a
is going down,
switch that's down wouldn't matter. So, I don't know. I need more data. I know I get a lot of useless alerts from you guys. So,
I mean, useless to Brian.
well, yeah, useless to me. Oh, server X and X is low on disk space. I mean,
I have a
awake, and
solution
if I
for
could
that.
fix it, I'd just go do it just to get rid of the alert. But
Next time you get one of those, you should call somebody. Like, hey, I got this alert. I'm like, why are you getting this? Like, I don't know, but you should probably fix it. Just to, like, I mean, that will make it stop.
yeah, well, they cut me off from alerts completely
Right.
because that would be their solution.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, see that exactly. You're getting alerts that aren't relative to you, relevant to you.
And like, I'm super old school and grew up in shops that were pretty small. So like, I want to know about all of the stuff, like, or at least want to have the option to know, right?
See,
Because
you've
it's
always
useful
been a jack of
information.
all trades,
Right.
similar to me.
Well, and it's useful information, right? Like, hey, I'm getting like, why are my firewalls down? Like, oh, hey, also all of the servers are down. Maybe something's going on that isn't just like my system, right? Did somebody turn off the lights and mistakenly also turn off all the power?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, they flip it on breaker.
right. Did somebody forget to pay the power bill?
See, most competent monitoring software can look at that dependency chart and figure out, oh, everything up to this point, this thing is down, everything below it's down. Send out one alert, not, hey, this server, this server, this server, this server, this switch, this switch, this switch.
Right.
Just because it can't reach them. Yeah, that whole site's probably up internally. It's just that internet connection is down.
If you have aggregated alert, right? Yeah, we definitely have a whole session just on this. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun.
Burn it in. Yeah, see, especially for an organization your size, that is absolutely not how it should be.
Right. I mean, how many networking staff do they have?
I think 5 now, something like that. It's 2.5 networking guys.
I mean, we are
2.5 security guys. Half a dozen or so systems guys.
We are telling stories out of school.
They're still pretty understaffed, but
yeah. I mean, for an organization your size, like that's the thing.
But even then, they should have probably 20 plus different alerting groups. And then everybody's in the ones that make sense for them. And you have the alerts sent to the ones that make sense for that alert.
Right.
Because there's going to be a lot of.
And if there's some stupid jerk like me that's like, no, I want to get all the alerts, like, go ahead, give them all the alerts.
Yeah, there can be an all alerts group. That's fine. Should be this guy.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Should be. I keep talking because you guys pay me to keep talking.
To be fair, like
someday you'll start listening. I mean, you listen.
He probably doesn't have the ability to set up the groups.
No, he doesn't. Probably could, but
I mean,
that's not.
I don't know. When my rarefied technical resources tell me that their life is painful and I can make it easier for them without too much effort, I generally do. Like, I'm a systems guy. I don't want to say we're a dime a dozen, but like maybe 25 cents a dozen. Like let's not lie. Um, when my super qualified, overqualified, brilliant DBA tells me that like, oh yeah, there's this thing that happens. Like it's kind of annoying. I'm like, well, that would take me 5 minutes to fix. Hold on. Like I literally, unless like I'm dealing with an outage, I'll drop whatever I'm doing and work on that because you know what? That's worth it. Him not being annoyed, worth like probably 40 hours of my time easily. Because he's like that. When you have resources, you take care of them. We hit 2 hours. We did it. Success. Field goal. Oh man. How did it? Field goal.
Close enough.
That's what I'm
See, I think alerting should be really, if you look at the old logging, not criteria, priorities. So it's like informational, low, medium, high, critical.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Yep.
Think of it kind of like in that manner.
Yep.
But you kind of have to overlay that over your hierarchy in your organizational structure. So informational, you probably shouldn't be getting like notifications on that. Low, very specific ones, but like low, high, or low, medium, high. So as you like get, if you hit a high that hasn't been addressed, like people above you that wouldn't normally get those alerts should start getting those alerts. Once you hit critical, that should start trickling back down again and notify people that have no interest whatsoever in this, but might be inclined to pick up a phone and be like, oh, what's going on?
Like might have a shot.
I'm seeing critical firewall alerts. Why am I seeing critical firewall alerts?
Right.
So that's kind of how I would structure it. I mean, give people the most relevant alerts to them until it's an alert that everybody should absolutely get. When you get like critical things, and part of that is properly marking your alerts. Like a drive on a server that's down to 80% utilized, or well, is 80% utilized down to 20% free.
Right.
That's an interesting thing for a systems guy. That's not a critical thing. If it's at 99%,
this is a brand new system. I'm like, oh, that drive's well utilized.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know what? I'd rather get an alert like 85, 90%. And I'd also like to get one that says this drive has stayed at 50% utilization for the last 3 months. Because like over provision.
Well, 80%, that's
80%
properly provisioned.
Right.
If it stayed there for however months.
Right.
But like SAN is in a critical state and is about to shut down. That's when you start spamming people.
SAN reaches 80%. I want to know.
Well, see, I don't even know everybody would want to know, because if you're properly using your SAN, that could easily be just a redupe, dedupe kind of event where things are shuffling around.
The reason I want to know about 80% is because that's a point in time where I need to start thinking about more hardware, right? Because I can't get new hardware tomorrow.
But me as a network or security guy, I don't care.
Right. It's an interesting event.
If the SAN is about to go face down, I would like to know, because if somebody isn't already addressing it, I'll start making phone calls myself.
Well, if nothing else,
so when it hits that critical like business impacting kind of level, that's when you start spamming people.
Yeah.
But when it's, because I get 80% utilization on drives.
That's awesome.
That has nothing to do with me, never will. But I get them. So I understand where JC's coming from.
No, absolutely.
But that's a flaw in how they have their alerting set up. and it should be resolved. It can be resolved. It wouldn't even take that much effort. And you're getting rid of background noise. If people are filtering at their email client, they're going to miss important stuff. Don't let it get to that point.
Right. Absolutely. All right. On that point, thank you all of you for joining us.
Yep.
And
Both of you.
we'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. And come again. Maybe it will be more interesting next time.
I mean, it
One
could
can
happen.
hope. All right. Deuces.